Have you ever stood outside on a sunny day and thought, wow, it's hot? We all have. The sun gives us life, warmth, and those perfect beach days. But what if that gentle warmth became a raging inferno? What if, overnight, our sun became 15% hotter? It's a question that sounds like science fiction, but exploring it reveals just how delicate our existence truly is. Let's dive into this scorching scenario and see what would happen to Earth and our entire solar system. First things first. On Earth, the change would be immediate and catastrophic. A 15% increase in the sun's luminosity would trigger a runaway greenhouse effect. Our planet's average temperature would skyrocket. Forget record-breaking heat waves. We're talking about temperatures soaring to levels that would make our hottest deserts feel like a cool spring day. The polar ice caps, which are already melting at an alarming rate, would vanish in a shockingly short time. We're talking years, not centuries. Imagine all that melted ice pouring into our oceans. Sea levels would rise dramatically, not by inches, but by meters. Coastal cities like New York, Miami, Tokyo, and London would be completely submerged. Hundreds of millions of people would be displaced, creating the largest refugee crisis in human history. Island nations would simply disappear from the map, swallowed by the rising tides. The world as we know it, our coastlines and our cities, would be redrawn by the sea. But the water is just the beginning. The intense heat would parch the land. Widespread, permanent droughts would grip continents. Farmland would turn to dust, leading to global crop failure and a devastating famine. Forests, the lungs of our planet, would become tinderboxes. Uncontrollable wildfires would rage across the globe, releasing even more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, which would trap more heat, creating a terrifying feedback loop. The sky would be perpetually hazy with smoke and dust. Life itself would be pushed to the brink. Oceans, which absorb a lot of heat, would warm up so much that they'd start to boil at the equator. This process would release massive amounts of water vapor into the atmosphere. Water vapor is a powerful greenhouse gas, even more potent than carbon dioxide. This would accelerate the heating even further, a process scientists call a moist greenhouse effect. The oceans would become acidic and deoxygenated, leading to a mass extinction event on a scale we've never seen. Coral reefs would be bleached into white skeletons almost instantly, and most marine life, from tiny plankton to the great whales, would perish. On land, the situation would be just as dire. Most plants cannot survive such extreme sustained heat. Ecosystems would collapse. Animals that couldn't adapt or migrate to cooler and likely non-existent regions would die out. Humans would be forced to live underground or in specially designed climate-controlled habitats to survive the surface temperatures. But with no food and no stable environment, the long-term survival of our species would be in serious doubt. Earth would begin to resemble its neighbor, Venus, a scorching, toxic hothouse, completely inhospitable to life as we know it. Now, let's zoom out and look at the rest of our cosmic neighborhood. The effects wouldn't be limited to Earth. Mercury, already the closest planet to the Sun, would have its surface temperature rise even higher. During its day, surface temperatures could become hot enough to melt lead and other metals even more easily. Its thin, tenuous atmosphere would likely be stripped away even faster by the more intense solar wind. Venus would get a supercharged dose of what it already has. Its thick, toxic atmosphere already creates a runaway greenhouse effect, making it the hottest planet in our solar system. A 15% hotter sun would just add more energy to this already extreme system. Temperatures would climb even higher, and the sulfuric acid clouds might become even more turbulent. For Venus, it would be like turning the heat up in an oven that's already on its highest setting. What about Mars? The red planet is cold and has a thin atmosphere. A hotter sun might actually seem like a good thing at first glance. The increased warmth could sublimate the frozen carbon dioxide at its poles, thickening its atmosphere. This could potentially warm the planet up, perhaps even melting some of the water ice believed to be locked beneath its surface. For a very brief period, Mars might become slightly more hospitable. However, this wouldn't last. Without a strong magnetic field like Earth's, the newly thickened atmosphere would be blasted away by the now more powerful solar wind. So any temporary improvement would be short-lived, leaving Mars barren once again. Let's move to the gas giants. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. These massive planets are much farther away, so the effects would be less dramatic but still noticeable. The increased solar energy would heat the tops of their atmospheres. This would likely lead to more powerful and more frequent storms. Imagine Jupiter's Great Red Spot, a storm larger than Earth, becoming even more violent. The beautiful rings of Saturn made of ice particles would start to sublimate faster, potentially shortening their lifespan over millions of years. The faint dark rings around Uranus and Neptune would also be affected. The increased heat would also have a significant impact on the many moons of these giants. Moons like Jupiter's Europa and Saturn's Enceladus, which are believed to have liquid water oceans beneath their icy shells, would receive more energy. This could cause their icy crusts to thin or crack, potentially releasing plumes of water vapor into space. While this might make it easier for our probes to study these hidden oceans, the long-term stability of these unique environments would be thrown into question. Even the farthest reaches of our solar system wouldn't be spared. Pluto and other dwarf planets in the Kuiper Belt would warm up slightly. Their frozen surfaces of nitrogen and methane ice would begin to sublimate, creating temporary thin atmospheres. Comets, the icy wanderers of the solar system, would become more active as they approach the hotter sun, developing brighter comas and longer tails. Back on Earth, the outlook is bleak. The planet would be sterilized. In a few 100 million years, our once vibrant blue marble would likely be a dry, baked world, its oceans boiled away into space. This isn't just a fantasy. It's a future that scientists predict will naturally happen to Earth in about 1 billion years as our sun ages and naturally gets hotter. Our hypothetical 15% jump just fast-forwards the tape, showing us our planet's ultimate fate on a terrifyingly accelerated timeline. This thought experiment is a stark reminder of the delicate balance that allows life to thrive on Earth. Our sun, our distance from it, our atmosphere, it's all part of an intricate system. A 15% change sounds small, but in cosmic terms, it's the difference between a paradise and a planetary wasteland. It underscores just how precious and fragile our world is, and why we must do everything we can to protect the balance we currently have. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through a scorching solar system. If you found this interesting, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more cosmic what-ifs, and share your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time.